sort of like rise to the occasion? Nope. Still walking. It's one of these few times when you can be a sack of potatoes in the saddle. So I think of it as terms of when they start getting bouncy like that, the lead in my britches makes it awkward for them to bounce. And then they usually go, oh, I guess it's not important. If they actually jig off, it's usually because their body just got going faster than their legs were going. In which case you slow down their body and then hopefully they're at walk again. Karen went someplace. I can't remember where Karen went.
She went to take a pony back somewhere.
Oh, she went to take Cheryl's horse back.
Okay.
He doesn't have really ponies.
Right.
I think. Pardon?
One check is okay for.
I don't know. Somebody else left money for both, so I don't know. I don't know if they left 2 checks or not. I'd make a note of it, though. All right, reverse walk the other direction around the ring. So we've talked about this before. Your incredibly short upper arms. I hate it. My problem, too. God would have made me with longer upper arms. I'd be so happy, but it didn't happen. So we keep a teeny-weeny bend in the elbows, and then we do our best we can to keep straight line bit to elbow. So that does mean that when he lifts his head, you actually have to raise your hands a teeny bit, talking half an inch. And when he puts his head down, you do lower your hand, but you don't quite straighten your elbow. And that is so that you can maintain that elastic contact. Oh, did we talk about cheerleading? You know what I mean, though?
No, we have not done that.
Okay. I don't know how. It's probably something you should do at home where he's more relaxed.
Well, she and I have worked on that, or like the wax on, wax off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
okay. All right. So the other thing that occurs to me, because teaching elastic contact is so hard, there is no way to do it. But Jill just talked about wax on, wax off. The ability to move your hand and keep the contact. Do it first on a post with the reins tied to a post and then go do it on your horse. Probably not when he's anxious like this. But it is surprising that when you get fairly good at the technique, you can take a moment when they're kind of a little worried like this. Oh my God, we can't get elastic contact because... And you can do that and I go, oh thank God, I know that. Because it's such a weird thing you do, yes? And they just sort of go, oh I know, she's going to do this now for 47 minutes. I might as well just take a nap and deal with it. Anyway, it really does help us. It sounds odd. It helps with the round over the top line. Because it's sort of, after, I don't know how many minutes, short circuits the retracted pole where he brings his ears closer back to you. All right, around X, walk a 20-meter circle. So when I'm training riders, on days when their horses are fairly quiet and nobody's going to get bucked off, we do that every chance we get because I would have been a much better rider, a lot faster if I had done that. But nobody told me how to do it until like 5 years ago. Which is now good because every time I get broken, I can go back and do it, and don't spend so much time with my body defending because I can't be elastic when it goes ow the whole time. Anyway, so do play with that at home on moments when he's safe and quiet, or the reins tied to a post even until you're good at it. And then they curl up and they stick their head in the air, and your job is just to keep contact. All right, big circle, rising trot, or sitting. I don't care, either one. So the critical factor is that when he lifts his head and retracts his pole, he's not rewarded with a loose rein. I do not mean pull him down. I simply mean make him wear the t-shirt of his contact. And he'll whine and squirm and wiggle and tilt his head, and you're like, still wearing your contact, honey. Still on the same circle. Whine, scream, wiggle, open my mouth, chew, mince, and you're like, how are you doing with your t-shirt, dear? And when someone says a rider has low, quiet hands, that does not mean the hands are still. They're not. They're dynamic. Heaven forbid his neck is dynamic. I wouldn't call this still. Therefore, your ability to move your elbow and maintain the contact is one of those motor patterns that you get by tying strings on a post and wiggling your arms all over the place, and then eventually on your horse. Because when you can begin to follow a horse with the same number of ounces when he's up, down, sideways, backwards, ears in face, ears on floor, then they tend to come around for you. It's so nice. Good boy. We want him eventually to very gently tow you along. Not like water skiing, that's too strong. but to very gently allow you to stretch that tissue of a contact and him to go, thank you, as opposed to, oh my God, she's going to refill my mouth at any moment. You're not going to do that, but he has years of history doing something. And then at E, send him down the rail. And as he begins to settle, or not, you're like, my leg does not need to climb up his barrel. I could take a breath and let my leg go longer. I still have one leg on each side of him, and that's the most important thing anyway. At B as in boy, turn right across the center. As E, turn left. Oh, pretty good. A bit of swinging out of the butt, but when they're still a little tight, that's going to happen sometimes. And straight ahead around the end. So things as esoteric as inside leg to outside rein are not totally appropriate at this moment, but you do think in terms of holding on to both sides of the handlebars of the bicycle, big circle. I don't know about you, but I'm not very good about riding one-handed on a bicycle. I tend to flop over. But it's that very gentle stretch. And of course, it'd be a lot easier to learn contact if he actually pulled on you, but he's not the type, so don't worry about it. You get to go to jumpstart yourself beyond, oh goody, he's pulling on me. Good, take him down the rail. What a good boy. And if you find on one posting diagonal, there's, when he relaxes and finally goes over the top line, there's a bit of a flat tire. It doesn't thrust you up as much. Something's not quite as comfortable for him behind then. Go the long diagonal, go HXF all the way across. And it may be compensatory with what's happening in the shoulder. It may be something totally unrelated. I don't know. We had one horse we did, seemed like years of chiropractic and massage and all sorts of stuff on him. And it was just a very tight horse. Finally, after one of the treatments, the rider said, oh my gosh, look, he's standing square in the cross ties for the first time in 4 years. And he walked out and he was lame in the stifle. And we said, well, that's what it was all these years. But he was so good at compensating, we never knew what the problem was. Now, big circle right here. Good boy. Yeah. So, regardless of whether his head is up or down, left or right or sideways, or whether he's hyperventilating, his eyes are bulging, or whether he's napping, I don't think he naps much, you keep the same tempo. And this is really very good on your part. You're steady 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you're like, I'm leading dance partner, your life is fine. Change rein on the diagonal, match me, and I will learn to stretch that silken thread of your contact, regardless of where your head goes, so that you trust my hand, and so someday I can actually influence the height and depth of your neck in a reliable manner. And the voice means a lot. If he happens, or you think he'd go down the rail, if he bridges over the top line or reaches out gently to tow you along, say good boy with your voice. If you're wrong, so what? If you're right, he might go, huh, something I did she liked. It doesn't mean stop and rest. It means carry on. You're doing a great job. Big circle. This is good. And at some point, trot walk transition. Good boy. All right, so my fingers aren't very long, but if you can hold your hand like this, not this, but this joint bends, this little joint at the end is straight. There's a name for this, but I've forgotten what it is at the moment. So, not a fist, not fingernails to your, but instead fold that joint so that the cushion of your hand is against, yeah, like that. Then whether you put the rein between here or under here is up to you. It doesn't matter. A lot of people ride the rein between these fingers. But what happens is the rein comes out over your index finger, and your thumb, my thumb's very short, but if your thumb is long enough, it lands on top of the rein, and that's actually what holds the rein. Not your fist, not your fingers. It just happens to go around here or around there, whatever's comfortable for you. But the hand closes like that, and the thumb is actually what holds the rein. Then, this is a little bit easier to have happen, and you're not as prone to doing that. You don't do that, thank goodness. But whenever riders are sort of like, and it's like, he trips, you're going to sprain your pinky. Ow.
I know. I tend to not, I want to be quiet.
Yep.
And that translates in my
brain to move fingers, yes. And the problem with that is then one is tended to go, we say, if I shake your hand, please don't give me a limp hand. Don't squeeze my fingers off either. It's not a wrestling match. But thank you. A nice positive feel so that you could stretch the contact. Sneezy. All right, walk off again. Now, base of support at walk or walking. Oh, he's such a thoroughbred. I'm off to the races. Base of support at walk. Put your shoulder joint over your base of support. Sitting trot actually goes behind your base of support slightly. Your base of support are your two sitter bones. We do not ride sitter bones crotch unless the saddle's too small. So your sitter bones are shaped like the bottoms of a rocking chair. So what keeps you in the same place on those sitter bones are we call them corset muscles. They're muscles that wrap around your rib cage. Not the ones we use for sit-ups. You'll have to get your six-pack someplace else. So those muscles that wrap around your rib cage allow you to not be a wobbly toy on your sitter bones that are shaped like rockers. They allow you to keep yourself in the same place. Now at the walk, this is good. With sitter bones in the saddle, I want you to lean from the hip forward, like 5 or 10 degrees, way forward, but keep your sitter bones in the saddle. And now I want you to lean behind position 2 or 3 inches, which is really scary to do, by the way. Yep. And then come back up and lean forward again, not bending at the waist, and then lean behind again. And then bring shoulder joints up to where we need them to be, which will be, in your mind, slightly behind your hips. Yep. So some people say, I can tell when I'm correct because there's a stretch on my tummy. Then I'm not sure if he'll let you do it, but put the reins in one hand, pat him with that hand, good boy. Look at me. Put that hand out, palm up. Yeah, but out, direct shoulder height, palm up. Now, bring your elbow back to your shirt. Keep your palm up, though. Now bring your hand forward into rein position. Feel the difference in your upper body there? Okay, so people say shoulders back, shoulders down. That's really not quite right. It's actually shoulders wide. And the easiest way to do that is to, I usually do it with both hands, but I don't trust them enough, is to put your palm out shoulder height, then bring your upper arm down to your shirt, and then bring your hand forward. You're like, I got it. Now elbows to your shirt, and then just bring your hand forward. And that does all of the stretching of the shoulder girdle that is so hard for women to do, hopefully without arching your back. Or swaying your back, hollowing it, I guess is a better word. Arching might be like a cat. That would be the other way. All right, put him off at trot again. Good boy, he's very good. And we know thoroughbreds are worriers. That's sort of their nature. And you're like, that's fine. That's why I own you, because you're a good boy. Think about the position of your hand. It won't feel right in the beginning to put the pads of your fingers against the butt of your hand if they're long enough. And your thumb rests on top of your rein, and that's what holds your rein. But get used to it. It works the best. This is not a fashion issue. It's a function issue. I don't believe in fashion. I'm not built for it. Change rein on the long diagonal. And there are lots of things that women get suckered into for fashion that are just not very helpful to horses. Good boy. All right, big circle here. Pretty boy. Keep your left flexion, or excuse me, right, and spiral this circle into a 10-meter circle in the middle. So it'll take you about once around to get into a slightly larger than leader up size circle in the middle of your big circle. But just follow his nose into the smaller circle. And it should be the same tempo, which, by the way, is pretty darn good right now. So you're being a good leading dance partner here. And smaller circles are tougher. Some of them slow down, some of them speed up because of a loss of balance. Yep, a little bit smaller yet. That's a really long lead rope. That's longer than my lead ropes. I know, it's hard work. Slowly. And then from your right leg yield him out. Push your right leg gently against him and let him slide out to the bigger circle. So ideally, he'll get to that big circle with shoulders and haunches at the same time without speeding up. Yep. We didn't pick the easiest way, but he gave it a good try, yes? And spiral back in again, keeping your right bend. So it should take you about once around the circle to get in, but it'll probably take you about twice around the circle to get out.